Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating history of coins from around the world. The 1969 United States quarter dollar is one of the most fascinating coins for collectors because it represents a major transition period in American coinage. At first glance, it might look like any other Washington quarter, but when you study its history, design, and minting details, you discover why it remains a popular coin for both casual collectors and serious numismatists. In this video, we are going to explore the story behind the 1969 quarter, what makes it unique, and how much value it holds in today's coin collecting market. Let's begin with a little background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin was originally designed by John Flanagan, and his portrait of Washington has remained on the coin for decades, though with some modifications over the years. By 1969, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for more than 35 years, and it had become one of the most recognizable coins in American pockets. However, the 1969 quarter did not carry the silver content that earlier quarters once had. From 1932 until 1964, Washington quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. But rising silver prices during the early 1960s forced the U.S. Mint to change the composition of these coins. In 1965, the Mint officially switched to what is called a clad composition, an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. This change affected not only the quarter, but also the dime and half dollar. By 1969, the clad quarter was still relatively new, and some people were still adjusting to the fact that their coins no longer contained any silver. When it comes to design, the 1969 quarter stayed true to Flanagan classic artwork. On the obverse, or front side, you see a left-facing bust of George Washington. Above his head is the word Liberty. To the left, just under his chin, is the national motto, "In God We Trust." At the bottom, you will find the date, which in this case is 1969. The portrait is simple yet powerful, serving as a lasting tribute to the nation's first president. On the reverse, the coin features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows, and standing on an olive branch. Above the eagle is the phrase "United States of America" and the national motto "E pluribus unum," which means, out of many, one. At the bottom of the design, the denomination is spelled out as quarter dollar. This reverse design had been in use since the introduction of the Washington quarter in 1932, and it would remain until 1998, when the new state quarter program began. The 1969 Washington quarter was minted at 3 different U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, while Denver coins carry a small D mint mark on the reverse just to the right of the bow beneath the eagle. San Francisco, on the other hand, struck proof coins intended for collectors, marked with an S. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1969 quarter is its collectability. Because it is a clad coin with no silver content, its face value remains 25 cents. However, certain varieties and conditions can make it worth much more. Circulated examples, the kind you might find in loose change, are usually only worth their face value. But uncirculated coins, especially those in mint state condition, can command higher prices among collectors. A pristine 1969 quarter graded MS-65 or higher can sell for several dollars, sometimes even over $50 depending on the demand. The San Francisco proof coins are also highly collectible. These coins were specially struck using polished dies and planchets, giving them a mirror-like surface and sharp details. Proof sets were sold directly to collectors, and a 1969 proof quarter in perfect condition can be valued anywhere from a few dollars up to $20 or more, but the most valuable 1969 quarters are those with errors. Error coins are highly sought after in the numismatic community because they are rare and often unique. Some examples from 1969 include double die errors, off-center strikes, and coins with missing elements. For instance, a 1969 double die obverse cent is famous among collectors, and although the quarter from that year does not have a similar high-profile error, certain rare die varieties can still make a 1969 quarter extremely valuable. Collectors always keep an eye out for unusual strikes from that year, Another reason the 1969 quarter is special is because it reflects the broader history of America during the late 1960s. This was a time of great social and political change, marked by the Vietnam War, the space race, and the civil rights movement. Everyday items like coins carry the marks of their era, and the 1969 quarter is no exception. It represents an America transitioning economically, moving away from silver coinage, and adapting to new realities. For new collectors, the 1969 quarter is a great starting point. It is easy to find, inexpensive in circulated condition, and it offers an opportunity to learn about mint marks, coin grading, and the history of American currency. For advanced collectors, high-grade examples or proof coins provide a rewarding challenge, especially if they are aiming to complete a full set of Washington quarters. So, how much is a 1969 Washington quarter worth today? If it's a circulated coin from Philadelphia or Denver, it usually holds only its face value of 25 cents. In uncirculated condition, values typically range from $5 to $15, depending on the grade. Proof coins from San Francisco may be worth around $3 to $10, while rare era varieties can sell for much higher prices, sometimes hundreds of dollars at auctions. To sum it up, the 1969 Washington quarter might not be made of silver, but it has its own unique charm and significance. It marks an era when American coinage underwent major changes, it continues the legacy of George Washington on the quarter, and it provides collectors with affordable and exciting opportunities. Whether you find one in your pocket change or purchase a proof example for your collection, the 1969 quarter remains a small but meaningful piece of United States history. Next coin. The year 1977 was a landmark in American numismatics, because it marked the beginning of one of the most ambitious and widely loved coin programs ever introduced by the United States Mint, the 50-state quarters program. Among coin collectors and everyday Americans alike, the quarters released in 1999 have become particularly popular, not just for their designs but also for their significance as the very first entries in this historic series. Today, we're going to explore the 1999 state quarter-dollar coins, their background, their designs, and most importantly, their value in today's market. The 50-state quarters program was authorized by Congress in 1997 and officially launched in January of 1999. The program was designed to honor each of the 50 U.S. states with unique reverse designs on the familiar Washington quarter. Every year, 5 new designs would be issued, each celebrating the history, culture, or achievements of a particular state. This initiative was unlike anything the Mint had done before, and it immediately captured the attention of the public. Millions of people who had never collected coins before started checking their change to find each new release. In 1999, the very first 5 states to be honored were Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut. Each of these coins carries the standard obverse design featuring George Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan, but with minor modifications to accommodate the special reverse designs. The reverse of each quarter tells a story about its state. The Delaware State Quarter, the very first in the series, features a depiction of Caesar Rodney on horseback. Rodney was a signer of the Declaration of Independence and is remembered for his famous overnight ride in 1776 to cast a decisive vote for independence. This coin symbolizes Delaware's proud heritage as the first state to ratify the Constitution. The Pennsylvania Quarter, second in the lineup, presents a statue of the Commonwealth statue, along with an outline of the state map and the Keystone symbol. Pennsylvania is often called the Keystone State, and this design emphasizes both its role in American history and its geographic importance. Next comes New Jersey's Quarter, which depicts George Washington crossing the Delaware River, an iconic moment from the Revolutionary War. This powerful image recalls one of the most daring military maneuvers in U.S. history and highlights New Jersey's role in the struggle for independence. The Georgia Quarter features a peach, the state outline, and live oak sprigs. Known as the Peach State, Georgia is celebrated for its agricultural roots, and the live oak is the official state tree. The motto, Wisdom, Justice, Moderation, completes the design, reflecting Georgia's values. Finally, the Connecticut Quarter shows the famous charter oak, an enormous and historic tree that became a symbol of American independence and defiance. The tree is linked to the legend of Connecticut's colonial charter being hidden within its trunk to protect it from British authorities. Now, from a collector's perspective, these first 5 quarters from 1999 hold special importance. Not only were they the inaugural entries in the series, but they also marked the beginning of a nationwide collecting craze. Billions of these coins were minted for circulation, but collectors were also able to purchase special proof and uncirculated versions directly from the U.S. Mint. That in terms of mintage numbers, the 1999 state quarters were produced in extremely high quantities. For example, more than 774 million Delaware quarters were struck between the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Pennsylvania's mintage was over 707 million, New Jersey's was around 662 million, Georgia's reached about 939 million, and Connecticut's was over 1.3 billion. With such massive numbers, most circulated examples today are worth only their face value of 25 cents. They are easy to find in pocket change, especially the Connecticut issue, which had the highest mintage. However, where value comes into play is with uncirculated, proof, and error examples. Uncirculated rolls and bags of 1999 quarters that were saved when they were first released have gained collector interest. High-grade mint state coins, especially those graded MS-67 or MS-68 by professional grading services, can sell for significantly more than face value. For instance, a Delaware quarter graded MS-68 can sell for several $100s, since finding one in such pristine condition is challenging given the huge circulation numbers. Proof versions, which were struck at the San Francisco Mint, also hold premium value. These coins were specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchets, giving them a mirror-like finish. Both clad and 90% silver proofs were issued. A complete 1999 proof set containing all 5 state quarters can fetch respectable prices depending on condition and whether they are still housed in their original government packaging. The silver proof sets, in particular, are highly sought after because of their silver content and their beauty. Collectors also value certain errors from the 1999 series. For example, there are known off-center strikes, double die varieties, and even coins struck on experimental planchets. Such errors can dramatically increase the value of a coin, with prices ranging from a few hundred to even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and demand. Let's talk about the specific value ranges in today's market. For circulated 1999 state quarters, the value is typically just 25 cents. Uncirculated coins pulled from mint sets or rolls might be worth $1 to $3 each, depending on the state and condition. Proof coins usually range from $5 to $10 individually, while the silver proof versions can bring $15 to $20 or more each. Certified high-grade specimens, particularly in MS-68, can sell from several hundred up to over $1,000 in auction. For example, a top-quality Delaware MS-68 quarter has been known to sell for around $1,500 at a major coin auction. For those who own a complete set of all 5 1999 quarters in pristine condition, the value can be even higher when sold as a group. Collectors often seek out full state quarter collections, and starting with the first year of issue makes a collection even more desirable. In summary, the 1999 state quarters were the beginning of a historic coin program that reignited interest in coin collecting across America. While billions were minted, making them common in circulation, certain high-grade, proof, and error examples hold significant collectible value. They represent not just pieces of metal, but also pieces of history, honoring the first 5 states and launching a program that would continue for more than a decade. Whether you're a new collector just starting out or a seasoned numismatist, the 1999 quarters remain an exciting and rewarding part of U.S. coinage. So the next time you come across one of these coins in your change, take a closer look. It may just be an ordinary quarter, or it might be a hidden gem worth far more than face value. That's the thrill of collecting, the possibility that history and value can be found in the palm of your hand. Next coin. The United States quarter dollar is one of the most widely recognized coins in American history. In 1980, the U.S. Mint struck millions of these quarters, continuing the long tradition of the Washington quarter design that began in 1932. For collectors and coin enthusiasts, the 1980 quarter holds both historical and collectible interest, especially as it belongs to the pre-state quarter era, a time when quarters were more about function in daily commerce than commemorative designs. Let's take a closer look at the story behind the 1980 quarter, its features, its value today, and why it continues to attract attention from coin collectors across the world. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin was intended to be a one-year commemorative issue, but it proved so popular that it became the standard design for the quarter dollar. By 1980, nearly half a century after its introduction, the Washington quarter remained unchanged in design, featuring the iconic portrait of the first U.S. president. The obverse, or front side of the 1980 quarter, carries the portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. His profile faces left, with the word "Liberty" inscribed above his head and the phrase, "In God We Trust," appearing to the left. At the bottom is the date, 1980. Depending on where the coin was minted, you may also see a mint mark just to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. A P indicates the Philadelphia Mint, a D stands for Denver, and an S indicates the San Francisco Mint, which in 1980 primarily produced proof coins. The reverse, or back side, of the coin features the heraldic eagle design, another creation of Flanagan. The eagle is depicted with wings outstretched, holding a bundle of arrows, symbolizing readiness for defense, and olive branches below, symbolizing peace. Above the eagle's head is the phrase, United States of America, along with the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to, out of many, one. Below the eagle, you'll find the denomination, quarter dollar. The composition of the 1980 quarter is important to note. Unlike earlier quarters struck before 1965, which were made of 90% silver, the 1980 quarter was struck from a copper-nickel-clad composition. This means it consists of an inner core of pure copper with outer layers of nickel, giving the coin its distinctive silver-colored appearance. Each coin weighs about 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. The mintage figures for the 1980 quarter were significant, reflecting the high demand for circulating coinage during this period. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 635 million coins, while the Denver Mint produced more than 518 million. The San Francisco Mint, known for its proof sets, struck around 3.5 million proof coins. These large mintage numbers mean that the 1980 quarter is not considered rare, and most circulated examples are worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, certain factors such as condition, errors, and proof strikes can significantly influence the coin's value in the collector's market. For collectors, the condition of a 1980 quarter is one of the most important factors in determining its value. Circulated coins, those that have been used in everyday transactions, generally show wear and tear, which lowers their collectible appeal. These are usually worth just their face value. Uncirculated coins, however, can command higher prices. An uncirculated 1980 quarter with a brilliant luster and no signs of wear can be worth anywhere from $1 to several dollars, depending on the grade. Professional grading services use a 70-point scale, with higher numbers indicating better condition. Coins graded MS-65 or higher are considered particularly desirable. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint are another category that appeals to collectors. Proofs are struck with special polished dies and planchets, giving them sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. A 1980s proof quarter can be worth a few dollars to collectors, especially if it has been preserved in pristine condition. Another area of interest is mint errors. Like all coins, some 1980 quarters were struck with mistakes, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet errors. These error coins can be far more valuable than regular strikes, sometimes selling for tens or even hundreds of dollars, depending on the type and visibility of the error. So what is the typical value of a 1980 quarter today? In circulated condition, most are still worth only 25 cents. In uncirculated condition, they might bring between $1 and $5. Proof coins can sell for $2 to $10, depending on the grade. Rare error coins or exceptionally high-grade examples certified by professional grading services may reach higher prices, sometimes up to $50 or more. The key takeaway is that while most 1980 quarters are common, there are select coins that hold significant collector value. Beyond monetary worth, the 1980 quarter is a snapshot of American coinage at the time. The late 1970s and early 1980s were a period of inflation, economic challenges, and rising interest in coin collecting as a hobby. While the coin itself is not rare, it represents the everyday commerce of that era. Millions of Americans use these coins daily for small purchases, parking meters, and payphones. For many people, finding one in pocket change today is a reminder of that period in U.S. history. Another interesting point is that the 1980 quarter predates the state quarter program, which began in 1999. That program introduced unique designs for each state and revitalized interest in collecting quarters. In comparison, the 1980 quarter represents the last 2 decades of the traditional Washington Eagle reverse, which would eventually be replaced by more modern designs. For collectors, this adds a sense of nostalgia to coins from the 1980s. When considering whether to collect the 1980 quarter, it's worth thinking about building sets. Many coin collectors aim to collect a full set of Washington quarters by year and mint mark. In this case, a complete 1980 set would include the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco strikes. Collectors might also look for high-grade examples or error varieties to add interest to their collection. In conclusion, the 1980 United States quarter dollar may not be a rare or highly valuable coin for most examples, but it holds an important place in American numismatic history. With its classic Washington portrait, heraldic eagle reverse, and connection to a period just before the explosion of commemorative coin programs, it remains an attractive coin for both beginning and advanced collectors. Its value ranges from face value in circulation to several dollars for uncirculated or proof examples, with rare errors fetching much more. More than anything, the 1980 quarter serves as a lasting symbol of American currency, bridging the everyday use of coins with the excitement of coin collecting. Next coin. The year 1981 marked an important period in American coinage history, and one of the coins that stands out from this era is the United States quarter dollar. Commonly known as the Washington quarter, this coin was in circulation long before the state quarters program of the late 1990s, and it continues to be a fascinating collectible for numismatists today. In this video, we'll dive deep into the story of the 1981 Washington quarter dollar coin, its history, design, production, and current market value for collectors. To begin with, the Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, created to commemorate the 200th birthday of the first U.S. President, George Washington. It replaced the standing Liberty quarter and became one of the most recognizable pieces of American coinage. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse features a portrait of George Washington facing left, with the inscriptions, Liberty, above his head, In God We Trust, to the left, and the date of issue below. On the reverse side of the 1981 quarter, you will find the image of a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches. Above the eagle are the words, United States of America, while E pluribus unum is inscribed just above the eagle's head, and quarter dollar appears at the bottom. By 1981, the Washington quarter had already been in production for nearly 50 years. However, one significant change had already taken place in 1965. Before that year, quarters were made from 90% silver and 10% copper, but due to the rising cost of silver and the coin shortage of the early 1960s, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. Thus, the 1981 quarter is not a silver coin but instead consists of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This clad composition gives the coin its familiar silver color but without the precious metal content. Now, let's talk about the minting of the 1981 Washington quarter. Coins were struck at 3 main facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint quarters from 1981 carry no mint mark, while those struck in Denver bear a small D on the obverse to the right of Washington's ponytail. Additionally, proof quarters were struck at the San Francisco Mint, and these bear the S mint mark. Proof coins are struck using specially polished dies and planchets, giving them a mirror-like surface and sharper details, making them highly desirable among collectors. In terms of mintage numbers, the 1981 quarters are quite common. The Philadelphia Mint produced well over 600 million coins, while the Denver Mint produced a similar quantity, also in the hundreds of millions. The San Francisco Mint, on the other hand, produced a more limited number of proof coins, numbering in the millions. With such high mintages, it's clear that the 1981 quarter was widely circulated, and many examples remain in pocket change even today. Because of this high production, the 1981 Washington quarter is generally not considered rare. However, its collectible value comes from a few key factors, such as condition, mint mark, and whether it is a proof strike. Circulated examples of the 1981 quarter are typically worth only their face value of 25 cents. In uncirculated condition, however, their value can increase. For example, a 1981 quarter graded mint state 65 by a professional coin grading service might fetch between $2 and $5, depending on the market. Higher grade coins, such as mint state 67 or above, are scarcer and can command even higher prices, sometimes reaching $50 or more. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint offer another area of interest. A 1981 S-proof quarter, especially in pristine condition, can sell for several dollars, usually between $5 and $15. The exact value depends on whether the coin is a standard proof or one of the rarer, Type 1 or Type 2 proofs. The Type 1 has a filled S mint mark, while the Type 2 shows a clearer, sharper S. Collectors often seek to own both varieties, which adds to the coin's appeal. Error coins are another fascinating part of collecting 1981 quarters. Although relatively uncommon, certain mistakes during minting, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or misaligned dies, can create highly valuable coins. Depending on the type and severity of the error, these quarters can be worth anywhere from a few dollars to several $100s to specialized collectors. Beyond value, the 1981 quarter holds historical significance. It represents a period just before the great redesigns of American coinage that came later in the century. By the end of the 20th century, the familiar eagle reverse would be retired in favor of the popular 50-state quarters program, which began in 1999. Thus, coins like the 1981 Washington quarter are seen as part of the last full generation of the traditional eagle reverse quarters, making them an important piece of U.S. numismatic history. For everyday collectors or casual coin hunters, finding a 1981 quarter in circulation today may not seem exciting at first. But when placed in the context of coin history, it is a reminder of how coinage has evolved over the years, balancing artistry, tradition, and practicality. The Washington portrait design, despite being nearly a century old, remains a central figure on the American quarter, though with modernized versions and new reverses. In conclusion, the 1981 Washington quarter dollar may not be a rare or high-value coin in most cases, but it is nonetheless an essential part of America's coinage story. With its widespread circulation, distinct design, and potential for collectible varieties such as proofs and errors, it continues to attract interest from numismatists. Whether you encounter one in your change or add one to your collection in mint state condition, this coin serves as a small but enduring piece of American history. The United States quarter dollar has long been one of the most recognizable coins in circulation, and collectors often find special interest in pieces from certain years. One such coin is the 1996 Washington quarter. While not part of the state quarter program, which only began in 1999, the 1996 quarter still holds a place of importance in modern American numismatics. Its design, history, and collectible value make it worth exploring in depth. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, originally intended as a one-year commemorative to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. The design proved so popular that it became a permanent part of American coinage. The obverse of the coin, featuring the left-facing portrait of George Washington, was created by sculptor John Flanagan. This classic design remained largely unchanged until the introduction of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. By 1996, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for more than 6 decades. The obverse of the 1996 quarter shows Washington's profile with the inscriptions, "Liberty," above his head, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the mint year, 1996, beneath his chin. On the reverse, the familiar heraldic eagle design dominates, with wings spread wide and a bundle of arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation. Olive branches surround the eagle, representing peace. The inscriptions include "United States of America," e pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. The 1996 Washington quarter was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, Denver coins carry the letter D, and San Francisco coins bear the S mint mark. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins, which were specially struck with polished dies and planchets to create a sharp, mirror-like finish for collectors. These proof quarters were issued in both clad and 90% silver versions, included in special collector sets that in terms of mintage. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 925 million quarters in 1996, while the Denver Mint struck more than 906 million. Together, this means that well over 1.8 billion regular circulation strikes were made. This very high mintage makes the 1996 Washington quarter common in circulation, and for most circulated examples, their value is equal to face value, just 25 cents. However, for collectors, condition and rarity of certain varieties can make some 1996 quarters more desirable. One area of interest for collectors is error coins. Error quarters from 1996 can be worth significantly more than face value, depending on the type of mistake during production. Examples include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong planchet, such as a nickel or dime blank. These unusual pieces can range in value from a few dollars to several hundred, depending on severity and demand. Another important factor in value is condition. Circulated 1996 quarters are worth face value, but uncirculated examples can bring in more. In mint state grades, coins are judged on their sharpness, luster, and freedom from scratches or contact marks. A 1996 Washington quarter in mint state 65 or higher can be worth a few dollars, while those in superb condition with a grade of mint state 67 or higher can fetch significantly more. These high-end coins are scarce because even brand new quarters often pick up marks during the minting and distribution process. Proof coins from San Francisco are especially appealing to collectors. The clad proof quarters, struck in brilliant mirror finish, typically sell for around a few dollars each, while the silver proof versions command higher prices depending on silver content and condition. Since the silver proofs were struck in limited quantities and only sold in collector sets, they are much scarcer than regular circulation strikes. Interestingly, the 1996 quarter holds a place of transition in U.S. coinage history. Just a few years later, the Mint launched the 50-state quarters program in 1999, which completely changed the look of the reverse design and ushered in a new era of collecting enthusiasm. Many collectors who were children in the late 1990s remember starting their coin collections by pulling quarters from pocket change, and the 1996 Washington quarter was one of the last coins to feature the traditional eagle reverse before the program began. Because of this, some collectors see the 1996 quarter as part of the final chapter of the classic Washington eagle design, which ran from 1932 through 1998. That long era of stability gave way to a more dynamic, rotating design program, making the earlier coins more nostalgic and historically significant. In terms of market value today, most 1996 Washington quarters in circulated condition are only worth their face value of 25 cents. Uncirculated examples, depending on mint mark, usually sell for between $1 and $5. High-grade certified pieces graded MS-67 or above by professional grading services can bring in higher premiums, sometimes ranging from $50 to a few $100s if the coin has exceptional eye appeal. Proof coins from San Francisco generally sell between $3 and $10 for clad versions, while silver proof quarters can reach $20 or more depending on the silver market. Collectors who are searching for investment potential usually focus on high-grade certified examples or rare error varieties from 1996. For everyday collectors, however, finding a bright, well-preserved example with sharp details can be a rewarding addition to a Washington quarter collection. In summary, the 1996 Washington quarter is not rare, but it represents an important period in modern American coinage. With billions struck, it is easy to find, yet in pristine condition or with notable errors, it can command significant value. It also serves as one of the final years of the classic eagle reverse before the historic state quarter program began, making it a nostalgic and collectible piece for enthusiasts. Whether you have one in your pocket change or in a coin folder, The 1996 Washington quarter is a reminder of the enduring legacy of George Washington's image on American coinage and the fascinating history behind even the most common coins we use every day.